Let's go for it!
I like the dark stuff. Give me the dark stuff. I like the dark stuff. Give me the dark stuff.
Hey everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host of the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thanks a lot for checking out the new video. Now, friends, I just want to come in with a quick one here. I have an announcement and a little bit of footage of some live music. I've finally been able to see some live music. So the announcement is that I have started a new audio podcast called Dark Stuff Radio. Obviously, it's kind of connected to this channel, being the Dark Stuff. It's a Spotify exclusive, which means you're not going to find it on your other podcast platforms like Apple or Stitcher or any of the other places. You can only get it on Spotify. The great thing about this is, though, because I know some record collectors are really down on Spotify, and I totally understand. I'm not here to argue the point. Is that I can actually include full songs in the podcast. So I don't have to deal with the same kind of restrictions that you do on YouTube or on a traditional audio podcast if you want to include music, in that I'm allowed to do it. Okay, that's the trade-off. Okay, you can use music, but it has to be exclusive to Spotify. Also, if you are a paid user of Spotify, you can hear full songs. And if you are a freeloader version, the freeloader version, you can only get 30-second samples. Now, I've had a couple people say, well, that's okay, because I don't really need to hear the full song. Well, I like to hear the full song, so that's, it means more to me anyways. The first couple episodes are up now, and what I've been doing is going through some of my videos, extracting the audio, cutting them up into segments, and making them audio shows. I'm working on brand new original content that'll be coming up pretty soon, but I figured I wanted to have a number of episodes up there before I really went for it on this. So I'm still kind of dreaming up my format that I want to use, exactly what I want to do, but right now I've got my Incomplete Collection Blue Oyster Cult show is up, and my Cheap Trick in the 80s Part 1 and Part 2 is up. I've got a bunch of others in the works. There's about 6 in queue right now that I'm going to be posting. So I would really appreciate it if you went there. The link will be down below. Again, you can sign up for Spotify for free, so you can still listen to it even if you don't want to pay for it. That's your choice. Of course, you get ads in it otherwise if you use the free version. So please check that out. Click follow. Help out the podcast here. And if you like this channel, or maybe you'd just rather listen to it, not have to see me, then maybe try this one out. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, you saw a little clip of Soccer Mommy. That was actually her performing last night at the Waiting Room. I'm recording this the day after seeing the concert. Live music is finally back. I mean, I'm so excited. I had a couple of shows in August and September that I was very, very amped about, that I was like, live music's back, dudes, whatever. Nico Case, the Pixies, and Dinosaur Jr., and all three canceled their tours, so the shows didn't happen. And the Nico Case one was on the day of her show in Lincoln. I mean, the marquee was up. It was a very funny thing because AC Newman was the opener, and he posted on Twitter something. We took a picture of the marquee and was like, hey, AC Newman's finally made it. I'm on the marquee, because he hadn't been on it on any of the other shows. And then 20 minutes later, he posted the same marquee where it says canceled underneath it. And he was like, spoke too soon.
Colors in the middle of the night, dry,
should convince you don't know what they mean. Why don't you tell me that the little dance? I wanna know that the little dance. Why don't you show me there's a try, I'm still in my body again. And I'm all not satisfied. And I'm all not satisfied.
So now let's run through and show a little bit of what I've seen. I've seen some decent stuff. I mean, first up, of course, would be Elvis Costello. And I saw him do a free show at Memorial Park here in Omaha. And this was a big show put on by the city, basically funded by the Buffetts. If you know Warren Buffett and Susie Buffett, they're like some of the richest people on planet Earth, and they live in Omaha, and they're very generous, and they basically pay for this free concert. It's the city takes all the credit, but it's really the Buffetts that pay for it. And this was a holdover from 2020. It's supposed to be on the 4th of July. It's, hey, celebrate America. And they have fireworks and everything. But, of course, in 2020, because of COVID, they canceled it. And they brought Elvis back, only this time they didn't do it on the 4th of July. They did it in August. And they still did fireworks, you know.
Awesome little sister, got the finest show movies that you ever seen. You got a fascinating shepherd, serving some smiling. Take a little break and I'll be back and go wild. You in South America, it's gonna be a new style.
So obviously when you're doing a free concert in the park, you get a very, very broad cross-section of people. And just my observation personally was that most people weren't that familiar with the music that Elvis was playing. Now I should make this note. So Elvis Costello's keyboard player, Steve Naive, was not able to make the show. They announced this in advance. He is a French citizen, and there was some holdup getting him to the United States due to some sort of COVID-related delays. It wasn't that he had COVID, it was just some issue getting into the States. So they replaced him with Charlie Sexton, but Charlie Sexton is not a keyboard player, he's a guitar player. And the thing is that so many of Elvis's songs, keyboards drive the song. So it was very limited in terms of what he could play. He ended up playing a lot of songs off his first album. But I have to say that I felt like my impression of being in the crowd was that most of the people were pretty unfamiliar with this stuff, except when he played Allison and maybe one or two others. I loved it. I dug the obscure stuff. I liked the stuff off Blood and Chocolate and these sort of songs. I thought it was a fantastic set, but I did think it probably didn't go over great in terms of the crowd, and they probably won't be inviting Elvis back for any free shows in the future. It's just my theory. I don't know if that's a fact. Okay, so next up was a semi-private show that I was able to see. I wasn't specifically invited, but David Nance, who I've talked about on this channel for a long time, does live here in Omaha, and he was putting on a show at his house in his backyard, and BP mentioned it on Instagram and said if you want to know where it is, direct message him, and he'll give you the address. And they were taking donations. There weren't tickets or anything, but just a little money to help out the bands and whatever. So I went to Nance's house, and opening the show was Hartford Foley. Now, if you caught my Dark Stuff 226, that was my interview with Matt Foch. So he's actually the Foch in Hartford Foley. And he talked about how he was reforming Hartford Foley mixed in with sort of his solo music, and it's going to be a band that is going to play both the stuff he does with Hartford Foley and his solo material, and that's what they did at this show. So they opened for Nance, did a quick maybe 35 minute set, not really sure, but it was the first time seeing them with the new band that is Hartford Foley, and it was definitely a fun and enjoyable set in a real casual kind of atmosphere.
Left me feeling
Next up was David Nance himself, and what you might notice from the pictures and from the video that you see is that bass player there is someone you might recognize if you're part of the vinyl community, and that is none other than the king of the VC, Derek Higgins. He's the new bass player in David Nance's band. He actually has been for a year, but because there haven't been a whole lot of opportunities to play out, this was the first time I'd ever seen him play with the band. I got to chat a little bit with Derek before the show. It was good catching up. I hadn't spoken to him in a long time because of COVID and just hadn't seen him around. He also has a new solo album, by the way, which is really good. Different topic, of course. But it was great seeing him again. I hadn't seen him or the band perform since pre-COVID, so we're talking a long time ago. It was really good. It was a fun atmosphere. Just hanging out, and there was maybe about 50 people there at the most, and most were sort of sitting on beach blankets or whatever, like just sort of sitting in the backyard. I still think if I'm at a concert, I'm going to stand, unless it's in a formally seated show. So I stood the whole time, just FYI.
I got to be, well, I didn't know I was in such bad shape. But I could tell by that whole living look, sweet across the face, sweet across the face. And all my the hours, the sun starts to break. We give them flowers, we in an early grave. Until there's nothing left for heartache. By the hour.
But it was great, and Derek is really, really good in the band, a very, very solid addition. So I look forward to hearing the new record, which they're recording. I've seen on both Nance's Instagram and Derek's Instagram that some photos of them in the studio working on the new record. So no idea when that's going to come out. I assume probably some point the beginning of next year, but looking forward to that based on the track record of David Nance already of having nothing but good records, and the fact that I did enjoy this concert, and I'm very amped for this new version of the group. And then the last thing was the aforementioned Soccer Mommy show, which was last night. This was my first formal show in a club, where people paid money for tickets to come to the show. It was very, very full, probably about 500 people there, is what I heard from the production manager of the show. And this was you need to prove that you're vaccinated by bringing your card or a photo of the card, and you need to show a negative test within, I think, 48 hours, and you had to wear a mask the whole time. So this is the first time that I had experienced that in a concert, and I'll be honest, I hadn't been wearing masks in a long time. I'm vaccinated and I got a booster shot, so I'm not super worried about getting sick, but I respect the fact that that's the protocol, and when artists are touring and they're in different places every single day, they want to be as protected as possible. And I would much rather sit there with a mask for 90 minutes and watch an artist that I like Soccer Mommy, than have them cancel their whole tour because they can't make that work, i.e. Pixies or Dinosaur Jr. or whatever. Soccer Mommy played all the hits from her 2 albums. They were great. She sounded excellent. The band was very good. It was strange that she had 2 guitar players in addition to her playing guitar, so 3 guitar players. I've only seen Built to Spill do that, frankly. One of the guitar players also did keyboards, just FYI. About 3/4 through the set, the band left and went off to the side of the stage, and then she played a couple of songs solo.
took me down to the water.
And towards the end of her set, she also did a cover of Dagger by Slowdive, which was really, really cool. I didn't know that she played that song. When she said I got a cover coming up, I know that she does Drive by the Cars, and I figured that's what it was going to be. I was like, ooh, let's get ready for this Cars cover. And then no, she did a Slowdive cover instead, which is just shows Soccer Mommy's total devotion to the 90s, because her sound is very 90s, and the kind of 90s that I like, you know, the female fronted stuff like, you know, Juliana Hatfield or Betty Serviert or Liz Phair or any of those artists from back then, which is what I love, and that's obviously a big influence on Soccer Mommy. I just wanted to touch base on this. Please check out the podcast if you can. Follow it, like it, whatever you do on Spotify. I would appreciate it. Any kind of feedback you can give me would be great. Much appreciated. Let's play the show out here with one more video from David Nance. This is the band just kind of rocking out there at the show. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Take care.